Okay, guys, I think let's start today. So good afternoon, everyone, and I just want to say thank you for you all to join today's event on your Sunday afternoon. It's a great honor to have you all here. Today's session is about how robot can speed up hand recovery for stroke, and there will be some presentation by Dr. Khor. And at the end of the day, we have a demonstration, and right after that, we're going to have also some question and answer. So today going to be a very full, compact session, and we try to finish everything by 4 p.m. in 1 hour time. So before I start, I just want to give a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Associate Professor Dr. Yong Ji Fai. I'm a lecturer at UTM. I'm also actually has done some research in rehabilitation robot when I was at Imperial College London. And then currently in UTM also I've done some research in this field lah. So that is basically what I'm doing. And it's a great honor also. Kang asked me to moderate this event, and really happy to have a session with you all. And I hope that this session can benefit many of you, and of course, including myself. I hope that I can learn something new from everyone. And the next person I want to introduce, of course, the very important key person today, the speaker, Dr. Khor Kang Xiang. Dr. Khor, how are you doing today?
Hi, Dr. Yong. I'm good. Nice to see
Yeah,
you today.
yeah. So just a quick one. Dr. Khor is the CEO and co-founder of Techcare Innovation. He is very, very famous, kind of very famous. He's won a lot of awards for the last many years, and he went to UK, Korea, Thailand, Japan, Indonesia, many different countries. You know, most of the people, or including myself, when we travel, we like to go for holiday, like. And Kang Sang is not. He's a workaholic. He travel to other part of the world because he try to get more knowledge and technology in this very niche field, rehabilitation robotics. And again, we have a great honor for Kang Xiang to share what is his view and why he's doing all work that he's doing right now for Techcare Innovation. Yeah, he's a Tech X Top twice. He has a big heart to help the community with technology. I'm not going to talk more about him, so later I'm going to invite him to give a presentation. But before that, I just quickly give a flow of today's event. So right after this, Dr. Khor going to do a presentation, maybe about 20 minutes, and that is really about his company and also the solution he provided and whatnot. Right after that, we're going to open some question and answer, a quick one. And right after that, we're going to dive into the demonstration. I would say let's allocate about maybe 5 to 10 minutes on the demonstration. And hopefully it gives us ample time for more question and answer from you guys. Again, these sessions are being designed for you all, so just prepare your question. And the question, you can actually ask your question in the chat box. If you are shy, just write in the chat box. If you want, you can unmute yourself every now and then. Just say that, hey, you have a question. Then you can ask the question that you have. And just a little bit of things. So number one, try to mute yourself along this session. And of course, if any question, you can just wave yourself or you can write in the chat box. Then we're going to look into that. So for now, the most important session, I will bring Khor Kang Xiang to the floor. Dr. Khor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Professor Yong. Hello, everyone. This is Khor here. Let me share my screen. Okay. Thank you for having me today, and really appreciate all your time today. And in this session, I'm going to share a 20 minutes of presentation on about us and how hand robot can actually help to speed up the recovery for stroke. Okay, is Prof? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right. So Techcare is stand for technology that care. We are actually a human technology company to provide interactive, quantitative, and automated training solution. I myself is a rehab robot specialist. I've been in the field for 8 years. I did my PhD in rehab engineering. To date, I published 20 over research publication. I won some 30 innovation award in national and internationally. So the story all started when I was in university 10 years ago. So when I was university, I was in the robotics specialist. So we are in mechatronic where we learn how to build robots. So the left top side, you can see that's where I am 10 years ago, 2010, where I think 11 years ago already. And where I built robots, and we represent Malaysia to oversee internationally twice, and we won the Best Design Award. This is 2010 in Egypt. And when the time I come back, I realized one thing is we have this all knowledge in robotics, but how can we actually use it to bring it for our community? And by chance, actually, I managed to visit a stroke center. I went to a stroke center and I just realized that there's lots of people who have a stroke and they require rehabilitation training, lots of rehabilitation training, and the process is very tough. And one thing I really touched my heart is I saw one patient actually same age as me at that young age, even walking is very tough for him. And that become my main purpose of the road that I'm going to continue after that. So because of that, I start to involve in how we can actually build technology for stroke recovery. And a few years later, we have Techcare Innovation, so where we provide human performance solution to help people to improve human performance. We develop in-house products. We also bring other products from different countries as well to provide as a whole comprehensive solution. In the past few years, we won over 30 international and national awards, features in some newspapers, Astro, and other features. Right. Today we have customers from Malaysia, India, UK, Thailand, and even China. Probably we may have some of the customers from India in the audience because we actually invite some of them into our session here. Right. Also, we managed to meet some VIP of the country, Prime Minister Malaysia, former Prime Minister Dr.Khor, Xiang, and managed to get a lot of support from them. Yeah. So today I go into the topic of stroke rehabilitation for hand. Please bear with me. So based on our registration, we actually have 88 registration. 50% is physiotherapies and 50% actually coming from stroke patient caregivers and researcher and publics, right? So maybe I will share some concept on the stroke rehab. So the key of the stroke rehab is neuroplasticity, where the higher the intensity of our training, the better the recovery for our movement. And this have been proven for many years already, where they did many study, and this is one of the research study, where they have control group and a test group where they do a rehabilitation. So this is a test control group where they did not do any rehabilitation training. Well, this is a test group where they do pre and post comparison after the training. And from here, you can actually see rehabilitation physiotherapy trainings actually help to improve our body performance after stroke. And our brain can actually relearn itself with neuroplasticity concept, where we keep repeating the movement and we slowly regain the movement. Right. So this is a stroke recovery process where I want to show is if patient they have a stroke, they can still improve in the first 6 months. Well, after that, they will start to stagnate without physiotherapy training. Well, if of course with physiotherapy trainings, they can improve a lot more. Well, after 6 months, they will start to stagnate as well. They still can improve, but a little bit stagnant. And why is that happen is they have investigated, and this is what they call the golden period for stroke recovery, where the first 6 months to probably 12 months is where the golden period where we can actually improve faster if we're able to do a lot of training during that period of time. But the challenging part is we have 52,000 of stroke patients every year in Malaysia, and not every patient have the equal opportunity to have this rehab training amount for that. And it really requires a lot of effort, very time consuming and very expensive. So what we're trying to see is how can we use technology to help our stroke community. And of course, there's a robotic technology. Now in Malaysia, we have a few big hospitals. One of them is Techcare Hospital. We have Techcare Physio is here as well. Teras Rehab Physio is here as well. We have they have been using robotic technology in the past few years, which is great. We have Hands of Hope we have Amil Power, we have Locomat, and that is all robotic technology and have been proven in the overseas. So the challenging part is the technology is great. The challenging part is a little bit very expensive where not many people can actually afford it. Probably only for big hospitals, but for a smaller scale rehab center or even patient themselves not able to buy this robotic technology to use it at home. So and we hope that we can actually change that. So what is hand robot HR-30? HR-30 actually is an air power hand exoskeleton robot for fingers and hand training. And this is how it works. I will share a quick videos. Okay. So you can see in the center actually is a controller, and the left side is a robot glove and the right side is a mirror glove. The setup is very simple. They just have to wear the glove. In less than 2 to 3 minutes, we can actually start to do the training. So this is mirror training, and then we can actually customize different kinds of fingers for different training of the patient based on what they need at that moment of time. And this is another massage therapy where the robot able to provide air pressure massage. And you can see the pattern actually, they start to provide the air pressure in the different sequence for relaxing the muscles. And this is some different passive training. So, all right. So this is just a glance through, a 1 minute, you can see the whole video. Okay, all right. Okay, I want to talk about the concept of hand rehabilitation because I have been talking to like over hundreds of stroke patients in the past few months, and some of them may not have an understanding on how it looks like when they get a stroke, how to recover from it. Well, the first step is we will need to reduce our muscle stiffness. Right. When we start, we have a damage on our brain, our muscle will start to contract and have an increase in the stiffness. Well, if we did not have stretching or a lot of stretching to relax that muscle, it will start to be very stiff, and we call it spasticity. Well, the first stage is we target to reduce the muscle stiffness. Then we move on to the second stage, is a movement-based exercise, whereby I start to have a relaxation of my finger, but I cannot move my hand. So this is a time where I will start to have active exercise. I try to close and open and do some maybe thumb movement to trigger the muscle of the movement. Once I have some movement of my hand, I'm able to open and close a little bit, and I have some movement, then we will move on to a task-based exercise. For example, a functional exercise like pick and place, drinking waters, or using chopstick. And that's where, because at the end of the day, the purpose of rehab is to return back to normal life. And that is the beauty of hand robot is it actually can support all this range of stages. The first stage is there's a massage robot to help us to relax the muscles. Then second, we can move on to the CPM, is a continuous passive motion. Mirror therapy is to relearn the brain movement. And then task-based, we can actually use the unique finger exercise to assist for different specific of tasks. For example, this is what we call specific fingers exercise. And thumb opposition training is one of the very important training in rehab of hand, which is contribute to 40 to 50% of our hand function. While to train this, if we imagine to use a patient to use a person to move our hand, it's very time consuming. And imagine research shows that we need thousands of repetition in order to really regain the movement. It's very tough and time consuming. And we actually see some patients did not see some outcome and they start to actually give up, which we hope that we can give them the motivation with technology to help them. And there is a clinical evidence to show that this concept is not invented by us. It has been proven by researchers globally. Also have a hand robot here, some research done. So I'm going to share with you some of the case study with patients not in the overseas, is in Malaysian market, is in Malaysian community where they get to actually use it. All right. So this is a patient of 50 plus years old. He have a stroke 1.5 years ago. And the time when he meet us is he able to move a little bit of the finger, but the index finger is not able to move much. And you can see here. So he get the robot, and then we start to do different kinds of trainings. This is one of the example of the each finger training. After training session and repetitive training session, he did it every day. And slowly they start to regain the movement. All right. Okay. And he's doing it at home. So this is why this happens is because when we have a repetitive movement, we start to install the memory back to our joint. And that's why the movement start to come back to help our brain to recognize this is how it works. But we also have a doctor actually get the robot for her mom, and this is some of the feedback from them. So her mom have a hand stiffness reduced and strength actually increased. So this is another feedback from a customer. 4 years of post-stroke, even after golden period, this is one of our patient have 14 plus years old. She have 3 times of Botox injection, and but well, for your information, Botox injection is used to relax our muscle to help us to relax to reduce the muscle stiffness. There is a duration where after a certain period of time, it will start to reduce the effect and the muscle stiffness will come back. So this patient actually do 3 times in the last 4 years, and he did do rehab training once a month. So you can see from the picture here, the right side is, I think the Botox is packed, is already reduced, and is very high muscle stiffness. She hardly can open her hand. So she used the robot, okay? And this is a few sessions of, after many sessions. So on the massage glove, this is her fingers. You can see her thumb actually start to open already. This is a very common thumb contraction that a patient will have. But slowly after, we start to do a lot of stretching exercise and massage glove every day. And slowly we can start to see the reduction of the stiffness of the hand. She can move a little bit now, and very good start instead. And anyway, she's very happy. I can imagine her where after 4 years, when almost losing hope, but now she start to get back the confidence where she actually can get back her movement slowly. And that's what we wanted to do. So we have another customer as well buying for her husband, can move his hand finger a little bit after using it. He uses it most of the time when at home, almost every day. And this is some of the feedback. Well, I'm going to share with you a second case study, which is more details how we actually bring it from movement to functional movement. Right, this is the patient of 72 years old, close to a man post-stroke, not able to move his hand. Okay, so he used the robot training to do, this is one of the training, is a mirror training. They do CPM, massage therapy. And this is the effect after the session, after the trainings. Okay, so we can slowly see what we call, this is where in the second stage, whereby this patient already has the movement trigger. All right, when we have the movement trigger, the next stage, what we're going to do is functional training. Is always going back to the functional training, right? And we start to do some training on the function task. This is a pick and place training, which is one of the most of the time we need to do. He's not able to do that, even though he can open a little bit on the hand. But when doing functional movement, we need to combine different kinds of muscles in order to do a function. Well, at the same time, he strengthened his shoulder. At the same time, also strengthened his finger movement. And this is one of the training. So we can adjust the training to do like a pinching pattern, because that's what we wanted to achieve for the pinching functional movement. And he did it in the past, like every day, slowly, 3 times a week, 3 times a day. And then this is the effect. So slowly he can able to get the function of his hand on the pick and place movement. And this is just one of the example of the function. So then move on is we need to build more function after that. So for example, to do a chopstick, the patient tell the therapist where he wanted to use chopstick. Is it possible? Yes, of course. And to do a chopstick, we need to understand what kind of movement is required. So to do a chopstick, we need these 3 fingers, fine motor controls. So we train that. We train that for using the robot target for this movement. All right. So when we start to see the movement on their 3 fingers slowly, and then we start to put into the practice, and this is the effect. Okay, so it's very functional based. We always target for what the we can achieve in a function, and then we move back how we can actually improve on that. All right, and then this is another movement of the bringing waters, so they can start to actually use his hand to drink water by himself. All right, and this is a grab and release, and he's actually releasing it. This is one of the important exercise for them to relearn. And of course, I want to share here up to now is this hand robot is an exercise training device. It's not a medical device intended to treat or diagnose, prevent, or cure any disease. Right? This is not a magical pill. This is actually a concept of exercise in rehabilitation training, where we use neuroplasticity as a key concept. And the improvement is not everyone. It really depends on each individual condition and their training compliance and other potential circumstances. All right. So why robot at rehab center? Maybe we have this question. I'm doing. Let me share with you how we can actually help the patient with this. So if we put the robot in a conventional training physio session, is about research shows that one session we can do about 60 to 100 of repetition of a hand. And while physio is doing training for the patient, the rest of the patient is waiting, right? They are lining up. That's why some patients actually wait for a month to do a training. Well, what we can do actually is if we have a robot, right, and the session where therapist is still doing the training one-to-one, while before that, the patient who is waiting can actually start to do the robot training as well. With 20 minutes of robot training, they can actually get 300 repetitions in one session. What does it mean? 100 repetition plus 300 repetition, which is equal to 400 repetition in one session now. That is 4 times of our current training repetition, just by using the robot, right? Why robot can help them is some patients not able to motivate themselves, so robot actually assists them, and slowly we can actually help to do the training for the patient. Well, now the robot, we can actually bring it for home, and we have been tested in the patient. But why we need to train it at home? I can do it, right? So physio training, normally, currently, what we can see is 3 times a week. Patient, normally, they will go 3 times a week. And per session will be 100 reps. So per week will be 300 repetition. Let's say if we have a robot to train at home, with 60 minutes of robot training per day, that would be 100 repetition per day for 7 days. That will be 7,000 repetition per week. And of course, if they want to do more, they can. Well, what does it mean? It means 23 times of our training repetition based on their current performance, right? And the good part is actually, in average, the device can be used for a year or more, at least a year, which is cost only like 12 ringgit per day in average. And this is what we want to bring to the patient and in the country. So why robot training? If you can see back on the training graph, without physiotherapy, honestly, for the patient, if we have patient here, if able to do so, please go for physiotherapy training. Physio is the best place to go to recover your function, right? So now, with physio training, yes, we can improve. That is already proven. And what we're trying to tell you here is we have a new path now where we can speed up some of our recovery for stroke with robot together with physiotherapy training. And we can have a new path for recovery. Right. So that is all for me for today. And I have a demonstration. So Dr. Prof, should I proceed with the demonstration?
Yeah, before that, let me just ask you a couple of questions. But once again, thanks for the presentation. I mean, it's great to hear that you founded this company since your university time, and it's good to hear actually it's humble and good to hear you saw someone actually need it, then you founded this company. And I'm quite glad to see a lot of a case study that you have a lot of patients using it. And to the summary that you say the robot can improve the motivation and also can increase their training reputation. And it's only 12 ringgit per day. Yeah? Are you sure that 12 ringgit per day? So later you need to show the number why you get this number. But I think some of the question before we go into the demonstration part. So can you share a little bit? I mean, Techcare innovation is not only do hand robot, right? You actually develop solution as well, and also you try to source some solution and technology to Malaysia. Can you explain this solution that you have?
Yeah, sure. The purpose is actually to provide a solution for full body to the patient. If we found that the solution that not is not available out there, we will develop the technology by ourselves. Well, we have CR2 haptics. CR2 haptic is a wrist and forearm training robot combined with virtual reality for training. And we also have a feedboard, is a balancing training device, allow patient to train their weighing balance. It's like a Wobblerbot, but with a program, software, and different kind of modes, module that allow us to improve patient walking patterns with their weight balance control.
Excellent. So for Techcare, you keep on continue looking for technology and also solution. So in
Yeah.
the other word, you are looking forward also for the audience and community, what kind of solution they want, you can try to source and try to develop. Is that right?
Yes.
So you're like the Elon Musk of the healthcare industry. Yeah, my next question to you is very specific. I mean, you've been spending 8 years as an engineer, not in the stroke patient, and you went to a lot of a country, like you mentioned. And what made you, to do this product? Because this is not an easy things to do. And in Malaysia, I think Tech Innovation is a very different company. Can you share a little bit the main reason you want to do this? I mean, you've seen the robot outside in other countries that you mentioned, and then now you want to do something for Malaysia. Can you explain one?
Sure, sure. Um, for a while, the reason why I started this is, of course, when I go to a stroke center, and that is always my starting point. And I still remember the patient tell me that before the stroke, he's a boss. He owned everything. But after the stroke, he started to cry. He say, I lost everything. And that really triggered me to, we need to do something. And for information, even my father is a stroke patient, so I understand the situation and the whole process uh, from a researcher point of view as well as the patient caregiver point of view. So yeah, that is always, and then I realized that it's not easy path. It's very tough path and very expensive. So but we need to recover, right? We need to recover. So that's why I hope that with Techcare, we can actually create technology that can to bring it for the people who need it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks that concept. So I also make to understand that some of the robot, like you mentioned, the Hokoma and some of the big robot, it costs actually more than 500,000 ringgit Malaysia. So
Mhm.
that's why one of the reason you build this is to make an affordable robot for the industry. Great. I think let's start for the demonstration. And good, we have two questions here. So guys, if you have any question, you can just put on the chat box. I will pick up then and to answer. So meanwhile, Dr. Khor, you can prepare a demonstration. I will just read out this question. I think this is relevant to the demonstration you're going to do after this. So this is question from Winifred. She asks, any criteria for the patient to use this hand robot? For example, if the patient need to have a minimum movement, or do they need to have a minimum movement of the wrist and fingers? Dr. Khor, where are you? Cannot see you.
Hi. Yes. Can you see me?
Okay, good. Guys, if you can see Dr. Khor, can you see Dr. Khor here? I mean, you may need to choose his screen and pin to the screen. Right now, he's going to show a live demo on the product itself. So maybe Kangse, you can show the robot first. Then after that, I will ask two questions related. I think it's related to the product.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Yong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. This is as we go through. This is a controller, very light, and then this is a robot glove. Okay, and this is a mirror glove, and the last one, this is a massage glove. Or we can put it inside and we can carry in the back, right? So it's a very we wanted to bring a solution where compact and portable is the key for people to easily access to trainings. Yeah. All right. I shall start. So I will start with hand robot glove. This is the valve. You just have to plug in here. Okay. And then to wear the glove, it's very simple. Just have to make sure the hand is fit inside fully on the finger. The glove actually have different sizes, SML sizes. Also have children pediatric, like 4 to 7 years old also can use it. Okay. There's some strap that we can use to strengthen up. And right. Okay. Okay. So this is how it works. I can wear it in less than 3 minutes. Well, we're going to start with, I just press the play button and then I select the mode. Okay. So here I'm not even using my hand. This is all fully assisted by the robot. Okay. What we can use actually is to increase the muscle memory, or we can ask the patient to move by themselves when they start to close. Also kind of like active assistant training. Now here there's a ABCD mode for different kinds of training patterns. This is mode A. This is an example. All right. Okay. So it will have different kinds of finger repetition of the sequence. Depends on the training needs.
Oh, so this is move one by one.
Yes, this is to move one by one. All right. All right. It will start to stretch at the last stage. Okay. I'm going to move on to the mode B. I will explain on the screen. There's a duration. So you can see there's a duration of the opening and closing. We can click to adjust the opening and the closing of the duration. So let's say now I try to adjust the duration to be 2 seconds of close, 5 seconds open. All right, 5 seconds open. So now you see I start to open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly, you will start to reduce. Okay, and then close to full 2 seconds. It can go up to 9 seconds of the training. Okay, why? How to adjust the duration really depends on the therapies. We would recommend if the patient is they have some stiffness, you can increase the intensity more than 5 seconds. For example, opening, you give more than 5 seconds so that they can do a passive stretch. There, of course, if too stiff, we should start to use the massage glove first, because this is actually air pressure is very light and it's very safe. In case of anything, you don't worry about it because everything is air pressure, right? Okay, so
air pressure means it's compliance, it's not safe, but it's safe to be used. Kang, I think we are running off time. Maybe you want to show the mirror already.
Sure. Right. I'm going to show the mirror glove. Here. Okay. Plug in here. There's a, and then we will have a, okay. And then I will do the press the mirror. Mirror is very using the healthy hand to trigger the weak hand. Okay, so I close and I open. And in this case, actually, I can actually use different kinds of, let's say I want to do some functional movement. I have closed the rest of the finger, only focusing on the pinching movement. Okay, so I can use it with mirror or without mirror also is okay. This is to train.
Kang, this kind of a training exercise, who are going to come up with the planning and which one should I train first?
This has to be physiotherapies.
Physiotherapists, yeah.
Yes, yes. So physiotherapy know exactly where to start the training, and they know the stages of which muscles first. So
Yep.
best for the patient. Right, I will move on to massage glove. All right, okay. Gloves. Okay.
So everything use the same device, so you just connect to the devices, the mirror, the robot glove, and also the massage glove.
Correct.
Okay, so it's quite simple.
So I plug out. Okay, and then now we plug in the massage gloves. Okay, and then thumb facing outward, there is an L indication, and then we just have to put in, and then we start. We can adjust the duration here. So when we start, we actually start to see the air is pumping in from front to the back. So some patient may have edema after a long time of putting their hand downwards. And this is the purpose of where we can help to reduce the hand edema, at the same time strengthen the, reduce the muscle stiffness. So I can adjust the intensity. A, B, C, D now become the intensity. D become the largest. So you can see actually is actually stretching out upwards, right?
Is it like this?
Yes, stretching out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like physiotherapy try to massage the hand.
Yeah, it
Okay.
kind of mimic, it can't exactly look exactly like the physio, but it can help to relax the muscle, improve circulation. And it shows that it works, it can help. We no need to have a person here to help the patient to do massage all the time. Now, patient, we can do the training by ourselves and give a very independence of training, some independence for us for recovery.
Great, Dr. Khor. I think I interrupt you with some question. I have some question here already. So question from Irene. She asked any criteria for the patient to use this hand robot. For example, maybe the patient need to have minimum movement of wrist, finger.
Okay.
What's the thought?
Okay. For patient who have a high contraction of wrist, we will suggest them to relax the wrist first. Okay. We can see the pattern actually starting from shoulder strengthening, then start to do a forearm and wrist movement. Then only last is the finger, right? This is the common path. But if patient, we can actually start in concurrent if you want to do so. Just if the patient that have this stiffness, they cannot wear the glove, right? It's very tough. So we need to start to relax the wrist joint first. One simple example is, are they able to like slowly putting on a hand flat, right? That is one of the criteria for using the robot, right?
So in the other word, it's not all can use the devices. It has to be a certain degree of ability. Of course, if you have very mild ability, this is good to go.
Yeah. If patient that have very spastic patient like this, first we would recommend to do like therapists may know how want to relax the muscle first. Only we can start the hand training. Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Khor, for the answer. So the next one from Fatim, occupational therapy from Hospital Rehab Cheras. He's asking, is it suitable for physiotherapy in brainstorm stage 2? Which physio patient has spasticity without muscle strength?
Understand. Spasticity is able to use. So you can see the patient case study that I show in the second customer, like this, right? And she tell me very stiff, very hard. I say keep trying. So we train them some, give some stretching exercise. Have to make sure. So one of the criteria what you can do if let's say if they are very stiff, right? We have to use manually to start to do some relaxation. Of course, slowly they will start to come back, right? But at least we start to do some relaxation on the spasticity. Ensure they can go in the glove without putting like this. They will have initially, they may go in and then slowly they will curve like this, right? A few method is we do some relaxation first before we use it, or we can use some a flat plate, make sure they are going in, do some adjustment, make sure the finger is fully laid in the inside, only we start the massage. The answer would be if spasticity can use, yes, they can use. Just we need to do some preparation work for the patient to be ready to use the device.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Khor. So Fatim, if you have any question, you can just unmute yourself and ask Dr. Khor directly. And Fatim also commented the mirror training is nice. Okay, then we have a very straightforward question from Ching Ching. Price. How much is the robot cost?
Okay. This is so we have just now I shared the cost of 12 ringgit per day, right? In average, we provide warranty of 1 year. In 1 year, 365 days, we can use that. It's close to like 4,000 ringgit. For patient now, we giving normal price is 4,500 ringgit, but now we're giving offer of 3,800 ringgit for the patient. Of course, for the clinical side, we'll need additional. We have some clinical package which like close to like 4,000 plus. It's still very affordable for the rehab center and hospital. Yeah.
So what's the difference between the clinical one and also for the home use one? Because the price difference is there, right?
The reason is because in clinical usage, we need to have both sides of the glove, right? The lower glove, and you may want to add some sizes, SML. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to ask you more questions because now I'm interested. So let's say I'm a user, I want to buy 2 gloves. Can I get the same price?
If you're a user, you don't need to buy 2 gloves.
Yeah, correct. Because normally when we had a stroke, normally it's 1/2. You are right. You're right. Okay. Thanks, Cheng, for the question. So the next one we have Mohammed Niza. Are there any safety measurement like a emergency stop button?
Emergency stop button. In case, but if this because this is a very air pressure compliance, which you don't have to worry if pressure. But if there is anything, you just have to close this. This is a power button, right? Or you can just unplug this, the pressure. So the best is to close the power. That will be to close the device.
Yeah, on the other side also because this one use a pneumatic, it's not using any motor or mechanical devices, so it's all compliance. Means that actually if the device stop failure also is actually not danger the situation. Is that correct, Dr. Khor?
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay, good. Then we have another question from Junior Teo. She asked, may I know that if I don't have a own physiotherapist, can I do on my own?
Yes, you can. Oh, actually, the feedback of the patient is I'm not sure whether she have a therapist. She buy the robot by herself and use. By the way, the 4 years post-stroke patient actually using by her own. So the answer is yes, you can buy the robot to be used at home to do step training, but you have to understand the concept, right? Relax the muscle first, movement, and then task. That is a concept. So if you understand the concept, it's very simple. You can do slowly by yourself at home. But the additional, we would recommend, if possible, to visit physiotherapy because it's not only the hand. Physio will look at as an overall of the patient outcome. They can look over a shoulder, walking, and all these, which is also very important. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So again, I think the answer is definitely you can buy this to use your own as long as you know how it can help you lah. And the advice is really better to refer to the professional or the physiotherapy that know how best is to use these devices.
Yes.
Okay. So I have. So if you have any more question, you can just write on the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask a question directly. So we have about maybe 10 to 15 minutes for the question and answer before we end the session. So we have Ching Ching. You want to ask question? Oh, Ching Ching left. All right. So now we have a few. Oh, we have 3 questions. Okay, we have 3 questions from Kate. So first one is how this will applicable for patient with cognitive impairment to train their hand function.
Understand. Very interesting question. We do have a patient where not able to understand instruction. So one thing what we can do is if they don't understand, it's okay as long as there's someone controlling, helping them to set up, they can relax and do the training by themselves, right? That is number one because mostly actually is mostly is assisted by the robot. Okay, and one thing we see the benefit of the mirror therapy is we have a patient when we ask her to do movement like this, she don't understand. So no, don't understand. So what we do is we use a mirror glove and a robot glove. We say close, and then she close. She start to see some movement. So try to understand. Oh yeah, I should close like this. So if it really depends on cognitive level. For some patients, they may be too old. They don't understand instruction. We can do this using their good hand to help their weak hand, and they start to understand. Yeah, I can do this. So they start to be very interested. Oh, I can do this. So that is one of the things they can try.
Yeah, I think the short answer for this concept is I think they still need some kind of a cognitive to understand. But if they don't really understand, then we need to try different method to let them know what is the training all about. Is that right, Dr. Khor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it have to be someone at the side.
To explain, to guide. Yeah, thanks that. So the next question, any contradiction need to be considered for the device usage? Sorry, I can't get this question. Kate, you want to ask this question directly, if you want? Any contradiction need to
Hi,
be considered?
sorry,
Yeah.
I'm Kadir. So my question is there any contraindications need to be considered or not to use this device?
Okay, contradiction depends on of course we have to follow the normal pattern of visual. Don't overtrain. Recommend 3 times a day for patient at home. But normally it should be okay. One thing we need to take care of is when patients have spasticity, they may not in a good position at here, right? So when they not putting in a good position inside, they may press their joint. Okay, so this will give not a
Not
good
effective.
impact. Yes, so need to make sure they are putting in the right position. And there's some little notes. So the movement pattern is also very important. When we are wearing the glove, we have to make sure the movement of the hand is actually wearing correctly on the glove, right? Some patients they may not wear properly. They just like wear as what they want. So we need to take note is that sometimes we may have the direction of the glove is facing downward or not in the right position. When closing, there will be like different finger. If we train like this, which is not following the normal pattern, then when we release the glove, it will follow that pattern. So this one we will need to take note is make sure the glove is facing correctly. So when they are training the movement is follow the normal pattern. Yeah.
Thanks, concept. So next question, I think this one everyone to know. So the price again, but of course not the price the price. Most of the Malaysian stroke patient may not afford to purchase this device. Is there any rental basic or other way for them to be benefited this robot rehab?
Sure. What we can suggest is we actually we get a lot of question of this in the past few months, and next month, next we actually coming out with have installment package where you can go for 12 to 18 months, and slowly you can use by installment basis.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges, let's say Kang Xiang, we try to lease. I mean, let's say you try to have a 1,000 unit of this hand robot to lease, that would be good, right? But of course, the challenge is Techcare Innovation may not have the cash flow to actually develop and to buy these devices. Will be helpful if you get a 1,000 response, for example, from the community. Then we can try to get an investment from the government or from the bank so that we can purchase a bulk. Then we can actually benefit a lot more people. What do you think about that? Would that be interesting to explore so that we can support more community people?
I think that is a good suggestion. The goal of Techcare is always about how can we help more patients, and if there's possibility, we can explore. Of course, align with Techcare objective. Yeah.
Yeah, to the audience that you are listening, I mean, if you think that you have yourself or your rehab center or your patient or your friend that may need this and then need to use the leasing or renting basic, you can just write to Kang Xiang on the Ticket Innovation to tell them that you are interested on the leasing model, because this is on the financial part. We need a volume to make the leasing model more attractive. This is one possible solution. Okay, we have about 5 more minutes. So is there any last question you have? Just write on the chat box, and then I'm going to ask a question. So before that, I could have some question in my list. So next question is actually Kang Xiang. So is the system battery power? How long do I need to charge to use it?
Normally it takes about 1 to 2 hours to fully charge, and then we can last for like about 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
So
So
we,
like just now you say that in one day we need to train 3 times. So I think one charge should be sufficient for 3 days, 3 times in a day.
yeah.
Then another question, I think this is also quite just subjective lah. So how long should I train, you know? You mentioned about every time is about 1 hour maybe, but how do we define these numbers?
Uh, okay. The recommendation of the duration is 1 time 20 minutes, and 1 day is 3 times. Let's say if I'm using it at home, 3 times per day, which is 1 hour equivalent. And the duration would, if we do training for 10 to 15 minutes, it's not 5 to 10 minutes is not so meaningful. So I would recommend to like 20 to 30 minutes will be a good session if you wanted to do some active training exercise. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. I think we do have some guideline at least 20 to 30 minutes per one time lah. I mean, just like running, like if you run for 1 minute, there's no point. You need to run enough, then only you push your body a little bit. So I have one question from Jia Ying, and she asks, can this glove use for non-stroke patient, for example, nerve injury patient?
Yeah. Can be used for other patient as well. So stroke is one of the patient case. You can be used for, we have therapists using it for trigger fingers. For arthritis, they found it, the massage robot here is good for arthritis and trigger arthritis as well. For the nerve rehab, it really comes back to physio suggest based on the condition. So you understand the tools. First, I would recommend physio to understand the tools and key concept. So this is to help to mobilize our hand movement. So when you think this is suitable for your patient in these cases, then you can provide for your patient. Right. So it really depends on the physio decision on that.
Yeah, thanks. I think the key word and final word will be depends on the physiotherapist. Yeah, I mean, of course, I think Dr. Khor have for the last 7 years, 8 years on this field. He can provide his professional view, but at the same time, I think best let the professional physiotherapist OT to look into that. The next question from Martha Templer, and she asks about any possibility of muscle overuse if you do training 3 times per day every day. I think this is similar to the situation depending on the physiotherapy advice. Right? Maybe Kang-Seng, you can give some thought of this.
Muscle overuse. Okay, very good question. This is just a guideline. So really depends on each patient body condition. Some patient maybe one time they feel very exhausted already. Then we need to adjust the duration of the frequency. If we have to keep asking patient, hey, are you okay? Some patient say, I'm okay, I can continue. Can I do more? Then we can do more. If I say after maybe a few times, hey, I'm very exhausted, and sometimes patient may not in a good condition in that day, then we need to adjust the training. We have patient once a day also good, 2 times, 3 times also okay. Depends on the patient condition. While muscle overuse, I think need to take care of the patient whether they are okay. If muscle overuse, for sure they will start to feel something. Okay, and this one we have to get the patient. So most of the time in training, we will ask patient, hey, is it okay to move on? And are you okay? So if they are too exhausted, they will tell us. Yeah.
So proper monitoring is important to see whether they are overused or not. Okay, thank Kang-Seng for that. So my next question will be maybe 2 more. So let's say I'm interested. What next?
Or if you're interested, you can contact us through WhatsApp, email, or we have a website. You can email us. We also have a Facebook, Techcare Facebook page. You can PM us. We can communicate with you there, and we have a lot of information there that to share with you. So yeah, you can contact us in this different channel.
Thanks for that, Kang-Seng. And one last one is again during this MCO, we are not supposed to travel a bit. So let's say I don't know how to use it. how can you guide me to use these devices? I did hear that you have some customer during the MCO period. So how did you guide them to use the devices?
It really depends on case by case. Some patient actually, we provide some additional services if they wanted to have this guidance. So we do have provide a user manual guide for them to use it at home and refer. So let's say if they wanted to have more guidance, then they can talk to us. We can have a session, uh, face-to-face session. We do have face-to-face session to help the patient to guide them how to use it at home and based on their current condition. Yes, we do have, but this one is not included inside the robot itself. It's additional services. Yeah.
Understand. So as long as they look into solution, they can just talk to you and try to explore that how you can provide the solution to solve some of our your customer problem and so on. Great, guys. I think this is it's already 3:58. It's almost a 1 hour session already, and basically I learned a lot also, not only from Xiang, also from the question itself. And to be honest, we do hope that this conversation, this today presentation can help some of you in the flow. And once again, thank you very much to Dr. Khor Kang Xiang, and so thank you very much to all of you to drop by to listen to this sharing on a Sunday afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Khor. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Everyone, thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.